Welcome to today's explainer. We all want success, right? But think about it. How often do we define it entirely by those outside metrics? The bigger bank account, the fancy job title, or just getting more social recognition? But what if true success is actually this completely holistic process? One that literally has to start from deep, deep within your own mind before it ever even has a chance to materialize out in the real world. Well, today we are going to explore a really fascinating framework that argues exactly that. We're going to look at how your internal resilience, the conscious control of your facial expressions, and the deliberate curation of your daily vocabulary all comes together to create this absolute bedrock for lasting achievement. And our source material for this exploration is a really profound book called The Laws of Success by Ryuho Okawa. We're going to be specifically grounding our discussion today in Chapter 3, which outlines these exact secrets to a successful life. It's essentially a spiritual and practical guide to turning your hopes into reality. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. First up, we have the attitude of living cheerfully. Second, we'll look at the smile created through effort. Third, the words driving your life. And finally, number 4, reverse and lateral thinking. So, starting with part 1, the attitude of living cheerfully. Now, the source gives us this absolutely brilliant visual metaphor here. I want you to imagine a day filled with those heavy, dark, just oppressive rain clouds. It's gloomy, it's depressing, and honestly, it kind of feels like the darkness is never going to end. But the truth of the matter, like the undeniable physical reality of the situation, is that the radiant sun is still up there. It is shining just as brightly as it always does. The rain clouds, they're temporary. But the sun? That's constant. So the foundational secret to a successful life is actually having the mental discipline to firmly believe in that radiant sun, that truth, even when your current circumstances are just completely obscured by those temporary rain clouds. What this actually means in practice is that you absolutely must maintain a cheerful attitude as a deliberate, conscious choice. Now, let's be clear, this is not about some kind of naive optimism, okay? It's not about just sticking your head in the sand and pretending bad things aren't happening. Not at all. It is a highly active, disciplined choice to remain cheerful because you fundamentally recognize that those dark clouds will eventually pass. If you let the rain clouds dictate your internal weather, well, you lose your power. True success requires anchoring yourself to the sun. Let's move to part 2 and see how this builds the smile created through effort. Okay, what's really interesting to me here is this concept of gansei, which translates to facial charity. Now, usually we just think of a smile as a reflex, right? Like something good happens, so boom, we naturally smile. But the source completely flips that on its head. A smile is presented here as an actual act of charity. It's a gift that you deliberately give to other people through conscious, intentional effort. It's actually a highly disciplined spiritual tool. So even if you're dealing with your own personal rain clouds, making the effort to offer a warm smile to someone else, that is a profound act of strength. Because by engaging in this facial charity, your smile actively transforms your environment. It disarms tension, it builds trust, and it literally shifts the energy of the entire room. I actually want you to audit your own life for just a second. Think about your daily interactions. How much effort are you actually putting into this form of facial charity? Are you just waiting around for the world to make you smile, or are you doing the hard work of giving your smile to the world first? Right, on to part 3, words driving your life. Let's talk about the engine. And this brilliantly illustrates how our words work. Think of pessimistic words, complaints, and grievances, like pouring sugar straight into the gas tank of your life's engine. They completely corrode your momentum, they drag you backward, and they broadcast this victim mindset to literally everyone around you. Conversely, positive words, words of gratitude, vision, and encouragement, well, those are the high-octane fuel that actually drives your life forward. The source material is crystal clear on this. If you want to succeed, you have to completely eliminate grievances from your vocabulary. You have to do this to unlock your engine. It's honestly like trying to drive with a parking brake pulled all the way up. You can press the accelerator all you want with your goals and your big ambitions, but if you are constantly complaining about your circumstances, your coworkers, or your bad luck, you are holding yourself back. No way around it. You have to actively police your language, stop the complaints, take your foot off the brake, and just watch how quickly your engine begins to roar to life. Finally, part 4, reverse and lateral thinking. So you have the right attitude, you have the right words, but what happens when you still hit a massive brick wall? Well, the source provides 2 distinct, incredibly actionable mental frameworks for handling dead ends and frustrations: reverse thinking and lateral thinking. Let's break these down one by one.
So the crucial point about reverse thinking is that it's all about how you internally process a failure. It means actively digesting a setback to grow your internal strength. You are literally reframing a failure so that it becomes actual food for your soul. When you face a harsh rejection or a big project collapses, the default human reaction is despair. But reverse thinking asks you to look at that exact same failure and say, okay, how does this make me wiser? How does this make me more resilient? You aren't just bouncing back. You are literally using the setback as fertilizer to grow a much stronger version of yourself.
And then we have lateral thinking. If reverse thinking is the internal processing, lateral thinking is your external strategy. It is the ability to strategically step sideways to break the dead end. Think about it. If you are walking down a hallway and the door at the very end is firmly locked, you don't just stand there banging your head against the wood, right? And you definitely don't just turn around and quit. You step sideways. You look for a window. You look for an air duct. You completely shift gears and try a fresh, entirely different approach. It's all about maintaining flexibility in your strategy while remaining completely rigid in your ultimate goal.
So, we've covered a lot of ground today. From believing in that radiant sun behind the clouds to the real effort of a smile, the sheer power of eliminating complaints from your life, and those strategic tools of reverse and lateral thinking. So, I want to leave you with this lingering question to think about right now. What rain clouds are you currently facing in your own life? And how will you use this inside-out framework to change your approach today? Remember, the sun is still shining up there. It's time to act like it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.